We find out three main things from this chapter of One Piece. Number one, we get more insight into advanced Armament Haki. Number two, we learn that Queen was not two-shotted last week because he got back up. And number three, we also learn that Big Mom was definitely nerfed during her time in Udon. We get a cover page with Brook conducting, and he's wearing his classical outfit. I haven't seen him wear that outfit in the manga for a while, so it's a nice throwback to, old school Brook. And the request comes from Noda Skywalker. Again, we have a sea kitten in the cover, and the last time I think we actually saw one of these sea creatures in the manga was during the cover story for Jinbei. Jinbei had found a very sad sea kitten underwater, and so eventually he helped it find its way back home, and this led to Jinbei discovering a poneglyph, which he eventually took to Big Mom. And speaking of covers, the cover for volume 93 of One Piece was released last week. I'm pretty sure you've already seen it. It looks like this.
The thing about this cover is that the first time that I saw it, I didn't even notice Sanji was in it. Talk about stealth black. He was so stealthy, I didn't even notice he was in the cover until I saw it like the day after it came out, like for a second time. The other thing is that Queen turned out to be blonde, which to me is another hint of him fighting Sanji possibly by the end of the arc. And I think like this is becoming a little bit of a joke for Oda, something that he can have fun with, where he trolls us with the color schemes. Because in the manga, it's all black and white. So he gives them like a black hair color, and we just assume that it's like a dark shade, and then, oh, nope. Turns out he's blonde. I think this happened with the Vince Milks too. Like, because we knew that they were Sanji's brothers, I guess our normal assumption was that they were all blonde, like Sanji. And then we saw them in the cover, and it was like, nope.
The chapter opens up with a flashback, Luffy recalling that scene back in Sabaody Archipelago in the auction house when Rayleigh removed the collar from Kami. And I've said this before in other videos, but up until this very point, up until this very chapter, we really didn't know exactly how Rayleigh had removed the collar up until now. In this scene, like, Oda even actually adds the black hardening haki on Rayleigh's hand, which is genius on Oda's part, because I think back then he knew that he wanted to expand on this concept further. So back in Sabaody, he gave us a very ambiguous, unclear scene. He kind of left it open so that he could clarify it later the best way that he saw fit. Now, Hyogoro's faith in Luffy being able to do the same thing again right after he did it for the first time is a little bit premature, because Luffy is trying to focus his haki to be able to push Big Mom's attack away, but because he was able to use the technique during a time of crisis, he doesn't really remember what he did to be able to do it. And I want to bring attention to the fact that as Luffy is building up his haki on his hands, we get some text that says, don't just brute force it, direct your haki. And so again, it's obvious that this technique requires a different type of theoretical principle than the haki that we've seen before, right? This is about like focusing your energy. There seems to be, again, going back to the scene with Zoro and Alabasta, there seems to be a sense of serenity and focus. This type of armament haki seems to require more zen from the user. But anyway, Luffy fails to replicate / repeat the thing that he did to destroy the collars, and then Big Mom sends him and Hyogoro swinging into a wall.
The explanation and the concept that we got for haki in this chapter really reminded me of Fishman Karate, you know, the way that Jinbei and Koala use it. Because essentially, Fishman Karate uses the water inside of the opponent's body to deal some damage internally. Living things have water inside of them. It's like a water manipulation technique. So you throw a punch, and you're essentially like busting up your opponent's organs via their own internal bodily fluids, which is why the technique is so effective up against opponents who have very strong defense, because you're essentially bypassing the defense, dealing internal damage. So it makes sense now why Luffy said that he wanted to come up with something that would be able to pierce or go through Kaido's scales. I mean, this is perfect for that. So now we know that Rayleigh and Luffy are capable of using this advanced type of armament haki because they destroyed the collars the same way. Now, the reason for why this gets a little bit confusing, and by the way, I think this could be the translation, but a couple of questions, right? is Rio the same thing as like Armament Haki? And if so, if Rio is the same thing as Armament Haki, then why is Hyogoro, or why did Hyogoro try and teach Rio to Luffy? It makes no sense because like Luffy was using Armament Haki already while he was in the ring. So why would Rio be the same thing as Armament Haki and then Hyogoro be like, I'm going to teach you something that you already know? So it's either 3 levels. It's either Armament Haki and then the Rio, and then what Hyogoro said was a level above Rio, or it's just Rio equals like Armament Haki and then advanced Armament Haki, which allows you to destroy your opponents from the inside.
Because think about how crazy it would be if Rio was in fact a level above normal Armament Haki. Then that would mean that Luffy, because of what he did to destroy the collars, that would mean that Luffy would have the advanced level plus version of Armament Haki. He would have the advanced version of Armament Haki. Is it 3 levels of Armament Haki or 2? That's my question. Because we have Armament Haki, we have Rio, and then we have this advanced version. So you have to fit these 3 concepts into some kind of a structure. It's very confusing. I'm waiting on more translations. But as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and say that Rio is the name that the people of Wano gave to Armament Haki, and that perhaps Rio is a variation or a different way of using Armament Haki that was created in Wano, and that ultimately there's only 2 levels of Armament Haki. So let me know down in the comment section, is it 3 levels or 2? Simple question. Let me know. I'm not looking for headcanons, by the way. No headcanons in the comment section, even though headcanons is all we have in this community. Now, during the past weeks, I've been reading comments of some people suggesting and thinking that maybe Sabo is capable of using this advanced Armament Haki as well because of the way he destroyed the Colosseum ring or the Colosseum platform back in Dressrosa. He just, plugged in his Haki, see a wave, but it actually seems like the structure is being crippled, is being destroyed from the inside out. Just rewatch the anime scene. Sabo destroys the Dressrosa Colosseum. Let me know what you think. Did you notice how in the scene where we see the Udon prisoners, the workers at the iron works, there's a character in particular that Oda decided to draw on a side panel there, kind of shaded, it's a little bit creepy, but I think that character has to be important. I feel like it has to be Denjiro, because if you look at him from the back, he has a long ponytail going down his back. And then Kawamatsu was freed last week because Big Mom destroyed his prison cell. So I definitely think that character has to turn out to be a samurai. Anyway, Big Mom destroys the door. She's chasing Luffy. She actually chases him around Udon, actually, runs a lap around Udon. And I was getting Whole Cake Island flashbacks throughout this sequence where Luffy's running away from her, because if you remember back in Whole Cake Island during the Katakuri fight, Luffy grabs Brule, steps out of the mirror world, and he runs into Big Mom in Nuts Island. He starts running away from her there as well. Thankfully though, Queen has a plan to bait Big Mom with a giant pot of Oshiruko so that he can jump at her from a distance, come in with a headbutt, and make her even stronger by allowing her to remember who she really is. Now, Queen's Usopp face, after he sees that Big Mom has regained her memories, is proof of some of the speculation that I know some of you guys had, which is that Big Mom was being nerfed, that she wasn't at full because she didn't remember who she was, which goes hand in hand with her not using Haki while she was in Udon, because as Luffy said in this chapter, I can't remember how I did it, so I can't do it. So it's the same thing for Big Mom. I don't think she remembered that she could use Haki. I don't think she remembered how to use Haki, therefore she didn't use it. Now the question that leaves us with is, what would have happened to Luffy, Hyogoro, and Queen if Big Mom had been able to use Haki? Now because Queen is in a panic, he makes a very quick decision to leave Udon basically unattended. I mean, he leaves it under the care of Old Maid, but that's like leaving fodder there with Luffy, Kid, Killer, and Kawamatsu around. But then again, what else could he have done, right? That's another question. So the priority is to get Big Mom to Kaido, to Onigashima Island, because if she wakes up, that's going to be a problem. And by the way, I'm not even sure that the chains and the tranquilizer are going to be able to hold her when she wakes up. I envision a scene of her busting out of those chains casually once she wakes up.
The great thing about Big Mom heading to Onigashima Island with her memories restored is that that's where Kaido is. You know, that's Kaido's lair, Kaido's hangout. And so I can't wait to have another conversation between the two of them, like the one we got during Reverie, when they were just like talking over the Dendenmushi, and they didn't even care that the Dendenmushi line was being intercepted by the Marines. Because I watched the anime episode for it recently, which is full of like recaps and unnecessary flashbacks. But what I did like, what I appreciated about the short little scene, was that the voice acting and the anime in general, I think, did a very good job at showing both of them interacting as equals. Like, I have never seen Big Mom talk to somebody the way that she talked to Kaido in that episode, or Kaido talked to somebody else the way that he was talking to Big Mom. I mean, obviously there is some animosity between them. I'm not saying there isn't, but there's also a very subtle sense of respect that it's not very noticeable. Again, it's super subtle, but it is there, and it's in the way that they talk to each other and what they say to each other. So I appreciated that scene for that, and I can only expect that we're going to get more of that kind of interaction once Big Mom arrives at Onigashima Island with her memories restored, because we need to get more information about the Rock's pirate era, or the Rock's pirates in general. But more specifically, something that we need to find out for sure is, what is that favor, what is that debt that Big Mom has over Kaido? She says that Kaido kind of owes her something, and that it was something important, even though it happened a long time ago. So what is that? What is the thing that Big Mom did for Kaido back in the day? The jokes write themselves, right?
So it's going to be fun to see how this dynamic between the two of them plays out. Are they going to start fighting? Are they going to join forces? Are they going to team up? Is Kaido going to have to babysit Big Mom while she's unconscious all this time? And if so, would that be considered a nerf against Kaido? Anyway, the gates are closing to prevent prisoners from escaping. Yeah, right. We get a shot of Momonosuke and Tama, and then Luffy is ready to go crazy by the end of the chapter. And I think this is where it gets dark, because Luffy, he's gonna beat some people up, but Kid is gonna kill some people, because Kid was killing innocent bystanders pre-time skip. That's why his bounty was higher than Luffy's. So can you imagine what he's gonna do now to these guards, especially after what Kaido's men did to kill her? Oh no. No, again, Kid was crucifying people, putting people on metal crosses, and it was fun for him. Pure sportsmanship. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Overall, I thought the chapter was good, although I will say that the Armament Haki explanation that we got in this chapter needs to be clarified further. Again, this could just be the translation that I read, but I do think that more clarification is needed for us to get a firmer grasp on the matter. I think that's a fair thing to say. I don't think I'm exaggerating at all. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Again, I don't want headcanons. I don't want theories. I want pure visual, textual facts in the manga. Thanks again for watching. Like the video if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Catch you guys later. Take care. Bye.